welcome back. Hour number 3, and we're going to talk to Yoichi this hour. Yoichi Shimatsu's latest article is up there under the Pizzagate splash art piece at the top of Rense.com. Pizzagate number 8, you'll see it there. By all means, read it, and there are 7 other parts. Part 9 is getting close to being finished. Listed up actually on the homepage. 5, 6, 7, and 8 are right there for you. But this story is not being covered by anybody anymore. A lot of pressure being brought to bear on people. The whole Russian hacking job was created to try to deflect people's attention from Pizzagate. That's one of it. The whole fake news issue, the war on fake news, which has also fallen away, was another thing. These are very clever people thrown out there to basically deflect people's attention from Pizzagate. We live in a horribly evil world. Now, most of you out there are aware of this. Certainly, pedophilia is something that any normal human being is sickened by, even the thought of it. But there, unfortunately, are an awful lot of people out there who are depraved, demented. They are pedophiles. I noticed the story. I don't know what it really means except what it says. And it says one of the editors at Newsweek was caught visiting a pedophile site 22 times on his computer. He said it was for journalism. Maybe it was. I don't know. But the point is, there is so much kiddie porn, child porn, pedophilia porn on the computers of people in positions of power that's what this is all about. They're trying to bury Pizzagate. It's not going to happen. Without question, Yoichi's work is right now the best on the planet. His 8-part series, soon to be 9 and then 10 probably. Nothing can touch it. You want to know about Pizzagate? Read Yoichi Shimatsu's articles. Yoichi, are you there?
Well, yes, I am. I'm in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and major center of pedophilia, by the way, and also very weird satanic practices.
Yeah.
Of, these feet of male teenagers, young teenagers show up every year or so in the waters of Puget Sound, floating down from the Salish Sea.
They're still finding feet.
They're still finding feet, usually of boys from places like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and so young teenage boys, also right foot.
They're trafficked.
Attention. Yeah, and some sort of ritual sacrifice coming down from the islands where people like Bill Gates happens to live. So these are very elite, protected, secure, compounds where the very rich and famous live. So this is a real high-level problem. How was it possible that President Barack Obama could make these just outrageous claims and statements on his way out, as if he's some sort of emperor of the universe, against the incoming man who has been elected president of the United States. I know we're a Democratic election, yet Barack Obama, acts like he's untouchable. He can go out unfazed and leave behind this destruction and all these threats and so on and so forth. How is this all possible?
Well, he's a lifelong, as we know, a lifelong homosexual and probably involved with pedophilia. I can't prove that,
absolutely.
But it's all tied and it's all obvious if you look at it.
Yeah. How is that? And because of pedophilia, it can go unopposed. Because they can threaten other people looking at kiddie porn, meeting up with an underage girl or boy or whatever their choice is, right? Of having this evidence of that meeting, this
exactly.
engagement, whatever.
Yeah.
They're able to get this unanimous consent, under a supposedly democratic system. But you can rig all the votes in the democratic system, and this is the problem. In something like the United Nations, how is it that we have this fellow named Guterres, who's the new head of the United Nations, that nobody knows about, right? He's not exactly the
never
most
heard of the guy.
Never heard of the guy. He's in charge of the UN Refugee Committee, which has just been helping to flood Europe with all these rapists and terrorists and murderers, yes?
They are, by the way, they are the lowest of the low, those refugees. I'm sure there are exceptions,
but
generally
these
speaking.
aren't refugees. These aren't
no,
refugees.
they're political. They're political
they're criminals.
tools.
They're just international. They're international
Thugs.
criminals, terrorists, thugs, rapists, right? Demented people released from prisons. These are not like very, unhappy families who've been displaced who deserve a new home and all this. That's not the case. That might be like 1 in 20 just to provide cover. All the rest are young males who are basically
they're soldiers. They're soldiers without obvious weapons, although the weapons come in many shapes and forms. Rape is a weapon of cultural destruction, and they're certainly all armed with that. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Trump
Streaming
is
across the borders in this last desperate action by this regime here in Washington, right, to bring in killers, terrorists, pedophiles. And isn't it amazing what happened just now, Fort Lauderdale? Yeah.
Yes.
That as soon as we get this case where 4 very misguided, deranged young black people, 2 guys and girl, beat up a disabled white person. As soon as that hits the news, suddenly we have an attack in Florida. This is astounding, right? From a U.S. a former serviceman who's got mental issues, and where witnesses see something like 3 different shooters out there, right? Suddenly, all of a sudden, to knock this story off the news. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course, that's how they do it.
Very act of reverse racism of these kids who just have been watching TV and have been absorbing all this propaganda from black entertainment, television, and so on. They've been absorbing all this stuff from Black Lives Matter, and suddenly they decide to take action against some victim, do their sadistic little thing, right?
Right.
It's astounding that this is happening, and suddenly we have to wipe them off the news.
It got to be too hot. They had to do it, so they did it.
Exactly. The timing is ridiculous. We have this crazy imperial order where all this stuff is being manipulated, and public opinion is just being. I think the public is very tired of it. The public knows better. They know that this can't be just another news item. This can't just be another attack, another 9/11. The public's gotten very used to it. So that's our problem right now. We're seeing this regime that refuses to die, that refuses to go out of power, that will resist beyond its end, and there's trouble ahead.
Operation American Resolve. That's Obama's program of putting 5,000 to 6,000 U.S. battle tanks and armored vehicles into Europe in the last month, most of them.
Right.
They were shipped over there. They're on trains now, flat cars. They're being moved to the east to be deployed all along the Russian border with hundreds of thousands of NATO troops and armor.
Right.
This is, I've got it up there. What is Obama doing?
They're taunting the Russians, obviously.
That's right. Are they going to? And they could make They could force something to happen.
Putin. Yeah, exactly. They're desperately taunting Putin to start something, anything, get an incident going. And wisely, the Russians aren't doing it. They're not reacting. Donald Trump is not reacting. No one's reacting because they're watching. They're watching, waiting. They know that these fellows have got less than 2 weeks left before they're out of power, okay? And investigations must begin. And we can only hope that the new administration begins the investigations before these people really turn to real terrorist tactics.
Which they're an eyelash away from doing at any time. They're just waiting. And
they're waiting. They're waiting for the new administration to come in power before they really unleash the firepower.
Exactly.
And I think this is a very dangerous point in history. Meanwhile, accusing the incoming administration of being fascist, just like Hitler, and all, blah, 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 right? Fake news, all this stuff.
Right.
It's just incredible what's going on. Meanwhile, Fukushima is just bubbling away, boiling away, and America's dying, and nothing's being done. And as you see, I've written, even on these shenanigans of John Podesta's hot dog stand in Hawaii, how all this discussion between him and Todd Stern, the U.S. chief climate change negotiator who had been in China, wrote a note to John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, and also former advisor to Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, in the White House
Sure,
advisor.
Of course, yeah.
Getting this email from this Todd Stern, who just got back from Beijing, had to deal with the Paris Accord, this make or break climate change accord that happened in the end of 2015, saying, I wish I was at your hot dog stand in Hawaii. I mean, how blatant does this have to get? And as I tried to show you, I try to straighten out all the Pizzagate stuff. I don't want to be a moderator. I'm not a super moderator or anything like that. Okay, but I just try to put together, who was where when, and this is obviously has to do with Besta Pizza, where James Alefantis worked in Hawaii, where he learned how to make a pineapple and ham pizza. Okay? This is on Kauai Island, the Garden Island, very beautiful place where Obama went to declare the world's largest marine environment zone, which unfortunately is totally contaminated by Fukushima.
Isn't that sickening? Yes, it is.
It's the way it's covering. Don't you see? This whole great marine environmental zone has been declared the world's largest marine park, so that researchers can't get in there. Fishermen don't go in there.
That's right.
Do you see the point?
Yeah, sure.
It's a totally radioactive place, as I found out in New Zealand. All the Pacific Islander researchers, the radiation, spotted massive radioactivity after Fukushima there in that area. And now suddenly President Obama declares this last autumn, declares this to be the world's largest marine zone out of Kauai, which also happens to be a beach boy. If you want a beach boy, if you're an older woman, or if you want to hang out with a young dude, you call on a beach boy there. And then the hot dog stand thing is that, well, it's legal to hire a beach boy in Hawaii, a guy with a surfboard under his arm, big muscular guy, if he's an adult. But if he's younger than that, he's younger than 18, then you refer to the hot dog.
So you think without question that Alefantis has been in this for a long time. He's
absolutely
really one of the
George. Yeah. Absolutely. He's probably a male prostitute himself. That's how I started. Then got into the idea of managing. You get other guys, younger guys.
Right.
You stop by the pizza parlor, ask him what's happening, man. No one wants something to do tonight, and he'll make the phone call and provide you with a 13-year-old boy if you want, or girl, whatever. Yeah, he's been in this a long time. This carried over to Berlin in some of the worst days of pedophile abuse. Just right after the Berlin Wall went down. He was there in the year 2000. This was a time when the Balkans War that Bill Clinton and Tony Blair were waging in the Balkans. You saw, I was there. I was dealing with
that was the first major use of depleted uranium.
Yeah. Absolutely. Depleted uranium, massive bombing campaign. I was there on the Hungarian. I was inside Serbia, inside the Hungarian border. And this Albanian group came up to me, wanted to, sell me their boy with earring. I mean, a little earring in his ear, like maybe he might have been a 14-year-old boy. Okay. Very smiling, very hungry people, And I told them and said, look, why don't we just have some beer and a nice dinner tonight and just enjoy life? And they were just amazed,
Yeah.
I mean, they were astounded. I fed them, and they had a good time, and they thanked me profusely for, letting their boy off the hook that night. Usually they have to sell the boy. You see the point to get
Of
me?
course, yes.
So Alefantis is over there with a fellow named Oliver Miller, supposed architect from San Francisco at that time. And they're in a part, Prince Lauberg, which is now a very, very hip, expensive part of Berlin. But at the time, it was where the Berlin Wall went down. And it's very close to Kreuzberg, a neighborhood where a lot of Turkish and also, all the refugees from the Balkans were there in Kreuzberg, very cheap apartments there. Those are gay cruising zones if you wanted very poor, what they call rough trade. These boys from the countryside, hungry, desperate, looking for fun, want a beer. We'll do anything for them.
Yeah, well, it's as I said earlier, it's a world that has really got at least 1 foot in the dark side firmly.
Dark side, 1 foot. I mean, they
maybe a foot and a half.
I mean, both foot. They jumped in. Feet first. They jumped in. They parachuted into the dark side. These people. So we have this situation now where all our policy issues, and I traced the White House visits, right, of Alefantis, went there 5 times. Once to see Bon Jovi, of all things. He got an award from Obama.
Yeah.
But for 2 times, he went in with basically a couple of pornographers and a porn star, gay porn star, who used to be a transvestite. He was an underage transvestite. Went into the White House 2 nights in a row, overnighted there. Either they're shooting video in the White House or they're showing video there. The producer was later that year, he was featured in an HBO program, 3-part series called Sex On, about online sex. These camera girls who do their stuff in front of camera. About a couple who did their sex on online sex and so on. So we have pretty much clear proof that Obama had, a porn team in the White House. Well, I don't know what to say. Overnight for 2 nights, I don't know what to say.
I think what we can say is
American. I mean, this is the presidential home.
Right, the White House,
the capital of the United States of America. I mean, what's going on? What's wrong with Obama? Is he absolutely mad? I don't care if you're gay, but you don't do these things.
No, you don't. All right, we've got Dana Durnford, who has popped up here a few minutes late. And we want to welcome Dana back.
Get back to Fukushima here after this.
We're going to do that.
And Fukushima is like a normal crisis compared to this madness.
That madness, as you said, I'm convinced that it is everywhere in the developed world, and in the undeveloped world, it's where their farm system. It's where they get their sacrificial.
Well, just one last point before we get to Dana. That Obama did have a meeting there of 19 leading gay activists, in which apparently with the Office of Management and Budget, which controls the purse strings of the federal government, apparently to create something like a gay secret police that would basically spy on everybody, look into their private lives, entrap them in parties and so on, where they can basically, control the Senate and the Congress and big business, everyone else who's in Washington. So a very scary scenario of what happens when we check the White House visits to Jimmy Alefantis, and it makes very clear sense why he's the 50th. He was rated by GQ the 50th most powerful person in Washington. He's basically the head of, I call it the gay Stasi, the gay secret police.
He may be even more powerful than that. He is so well entrenched there, along with his lover David Brock and these others. And look, when you hear people of that camp, the Clinton camp, start to say the Russians are planting child porn on our computers, that's called damage control in advance. Very simple.
Absolutely. We see the reach of Alefantis, Brock, and so on, the kind of really dark sort of secret pedophilia police work that's going on to discredit everyone in Congress, everyone who is in a senior position within the federal government.
They've got control. They have it.
They've got blackmail control.
Totally.
And this has to be smashed. It must be crushed. These people must be put away for good. That's all I know. Because otherwise there will be no democracy. Democracy is based on the free flow of opinion, of information, openness, where I can talk to you, I can talk to anybody, any congressman, and we can just talk very cordially and friendly about the problems the nation faces without fear, without a power that will resist beyond its end. And there's trouble ahead.
Operation American Resolve.